Not so fast. I can see you glancing longingly at that beautiful shiny Galaxy S20, but there's another option. A phone that got lost in the amazing release schedule of Q4 of last year, the Note 10 Plus. It's been an amazing phone that I wanted to go back, revisit, and use. Now that there are a lot of discounts to be found if you know where to look. So, 6 months later, is a Note 10 Plus still worth the money? With so many Android devices to choose from, it's kind of the beauty of the platform. There are just a bunch of different phones. So I gravitated towards the Note 10 Plus for a few reasons. First, I've been wanting to get back on Android for a while, especially with the S20 now here. I want to familiarize myself again with sort of Samsung's take on Android. And what I really wanted was to go back to the Galaxy Fold, but I couldn't bring myself to drop $2,000 to buy one, now halfway through its life cycle or so. And Samsung had sent me to check out a pretty awesome, spec'd out to the gills, Star Wars version of the Note 10 Plus. So I figured it was the closest I could get to the S20. I still had that folded hole in my heart. So if you're looking at your old phone while you're watching this and thinking maybe you could use an upgrade, stay tuned to the end of the video. We've got a giveaway going on where you could essentially win your dream phone. There's a lot of things about the Note 10 that got me excited and why I was pumped when it first came out. So first, the screen. I'm a screen snob, and I think there are very few manufacturers that do screens as well as Samsung. And they've done sort of more waterfall-ish screens in the past, but I love the way the screen kind of folds into the aluminum on the sides. It's a beautiful device to look at. The bezels here are almost completely gone. I personally like the way Samsung does different color profiles if you want to pick how you want to do it. The build quality is awesome, and I keep telling myself I'm going to use the S Pen. I find myself using it for the first couple days and I forget about it, but it's different this time around. It's unibody, it's got a gyroscope in it, so you can do gestures to control the camera and other things that I didn't really use that much, but I did try them. There's been just a lot of things about this phone that I was excited about, and I kind of got excited again to pick it back up and sort of put my sim in it. So 6 months later, much like the world of Android, the world of the Note 10 Plus has changed. Samsung rightfully and I think wrongfully gets a lot of flack for not pushing updates fast, but the Android 10 update for the Note line did come relatively quick, and I've been using that since I started switching back over. One UI here is now on a second iteration. It's a really nice version of Android. Now I did put a launcher on here and I'll explain why, but the way Samsung handles Android, I think a lot of ways they've sort of augmented things that aren't built in to Android 10. Dark mode scheduling, for example, something that should be on stock Android 10, but is not. I get a lot more granular controls with sort of Samsung's take on Android than I do on what I would get on the Pixel 4 or the Pixel 4 XL. So one of the things that I missed, I think most about Android that kind of brought me back to it was the customization. I've lived in an Apple world long enough with minimal things that I could do. I was ready to make a phone mine again. And generally, I've liked what Samsung does with their launcher, and I usually keep it and sort of use it and happily been able to sort of make that phone mine. And I did for the first half of my revisit with the Note 10 Plus. I kept the regular Samsung launcher on there, but I missed the Google Now panel, the news panel off to the left. So again, beauty of Android, I went and downloaded the CPL launcher. There's a plugin that you can add so that you get that Google Now swipe to the side. And I went about customizing, and I didn't do too much. Functional for me was more important than the aesthetic. So I put all the apps that I use regularly, right, easily accessible by my fingers. I have things in folders. I really kind of duplicated the Pixel look and feel is kind of what I was going for here, and it's worked really well for me. One of my big annoyances, and this is probably a very personal thing with iOS, I'm in my car a lot, and I'm always listening to audiobooks. And when I want to start it again, I have to go to the app, open the app, hit play on the book. The fact that I can have just that Audible app right on my home screen, I can just push play when I get in the car. It's only taking away like a couple button presses, but it's nice to have that option. I think that's what you get with Android, those little things that can make your life a little bit easier. And it's those small things that made me appreciate being back on Android. So one thing that hasn't changed on the phone in 6 months is the performance. It was a beast mode when it came out then, and it's it's straight up beast mode still. Now, 855, 12 gigabytes of RAM, the phone is fast. I never had any slowdowns, multitasking was quick. I didn't have any stutters or jitters. There's no Android lag that kind of gets rumored with Android phones. This has been amazingly fast. I think will be amazingly fast for years to come. The modern Samsung phones don't have that same slowdown that maybe plagued older generation devices. One feature that has been really useful and surprisingly useful is the reverse wireless charging, wireless power share they call it. Essentially, you use your battery to wirelessly charge other stuff. When I switched to the Note 10, I also switched smartwatches. I'm using the Galaxy Active 2, which I have absolutely loved. But the fact that I can just plug in my phone at night and use the back to wirelessly charge my watch, it's a really killer feature. So when you talk Note, I think battery and battery life, something that still bubbles to the surface. Another reason I went to 10 Plus is a 4300 milliamp hour battery that was built in. I wanted to have the best battery life. And when I first tested it back in August, I found battery life to actually be pretty decent. I don't know if my use case has changed or Android 10 has changed or something with One UI. Battery life has not been as strong as it was when I first tested it when it had Android 9 on board, which is strange. Android 10 has a lot of power saving features, a lot of app management that should increase battery life. I can still get 3 to 4.5 hours of screen on time. I can still get through a full day, but it is about 5 to 10% lower than it was when I first started using the device, 6-ish months ago. So another thing that was new to the Note line, at least, and we saw it first on the S10 line, was the in-screen fingerprint reader, the ultrasonic fingerprint reader built into display. And in theory, that's awesome, right? You don't have to fiddle with your finger on the back, find a spot on the side. It's just built into display. You don't have to have a big area at the bottom for a button. It sounds awesome. And it's using Qualcomm's essentially first gen tech to make this work. And when I first switched back to the Note 10 Plus on the Star Wars version, it was really slow. And I went back and looked at the optical version of that on the OnePlus 7 line, and it was noticeably quicker. It uses light instead of the ultrasonic, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working that well. It wouldn't read my fingerprint. I had to keep pressing harder. Then I remembered the Note line ships with a screen protector on it. So I pulled out the screen protector, and it got much better. It still feels a tick behind the optical reader that you've got, again, on the OnePlus 7. And you notice it as you unlock your phone a lot over the course of months or even years, but it did work much better. So if you're having issues with your Note 10 Plus fingerprint reader, take out the screen protector. It'll help quite a bit. I wasted probably 5 days being like, what the heck? Why won't this work? It made me miss sort of the face unlock of the iPhone or the Pixel 4. So I think on flagship phones, the cameras are all awesome, and it's hard to find a phone that takes bad pictures. And the Note 10 line still has amazing cameras on it. There's some features that I really like. In the past, Samsung's photos have been really high contrasty. They've toned it down for the Note 10 Plus, but I've seen really big improvements with dynamic range, shadows, and color reproductions. The photos look really nice. I like the flexibility of the lenses, being able to have the wide angle and being able to have the zoom and the standard. It's nice to have all of that there. And the question of it's how it's going to compare to the Pixel 4s and the iPhone. I think it compares very favorably now. It's a personal preference thing at this point, but I've been very impressed with the photography of the Note 10. The video on Android I don't think is still up to par with some of the competition, but it is really good on the 10 Plus, perhaps amongst the best of the Android world. Camera, it's like a microcosm of the whole Note. It's nice features to have. They don't necessarily need them. I mean, I'll almost take one really good camera over a lot that do some things well, but every sensor on the Note 10 Plus line does what it's supposed to do very well. If camera is your priority and you're considering the Note 10 Plus, like I thought 6 months ago, now I still don't think you'll be disappointed. So maybe the biggest thing that's hanging over the head of the super capable Note 10 and Note 10 Plus is, I guess you can call it its big brother, but now the S20 is a phone that exists in the world. It's hard to pick a device, and that's kind of the way smartphones work. You wait 3 or 4 months, there's something new that's going to be coming. Now, just because the S20 exists and is superior in most ways does not mean the Note 10 is not a good phone. But you're paying for all those things that you get with the S20. You're paying starting $1,000 and up to $1,400 starting point for the S20 Ultra. You're paying for that 5G. You're paying for the higher megapixelage on the camera, and for the Ultra, you're certainly paying for that insane optical and 100 times digital zoom. And I think perhaps most importantly, you're paying to move the volume and power buttons to the right side on the S20. But I think like most things Note related, it probably boils down to the S Pen. Is that something that you must have? If that's something that's still super important to you, then yeah, 6 months from now, there'll be the next version of the Note that'll be better than the Note 10 Plus. But as it exists right now, the Snapdragon 855 in the package of the Note 10 is still really good. And you're getting amazing value for that, especially all the sales that are going on. So I want to give a big shout out and thank you to this video sponsor, Loaded 8s. It's a brand new way to play poker. I'm a big poker guy. I've been playing for years. This is a new way to experience the game that you already know. It's available for iOS or Android. It is crazy addictive and amazingly fun. If you guys want to check it out, we'll link down below. But to sort of introduce Loaded 8s to the world, we teamed up with their developers to give away a dream phone. You could pick any phone you want under $1,000 anywhere in the world, and we will send it to you. We'll have the entries on john4lakers.tech. Click the link down below, go over there, and you can see how you can enter to win. We tried to make it really easy, but give Loaded 8s a shot. Again, available for iOS or Android. It is amazingly fun. If you're looking for a new game, a new way to pass 5-10 minutes while you're waiting in the car or waiting to pick somebody up, it is really fun and a game that I legitimately have been playing for a while now. So the upgrade cycle on phones is so fast. You're out with the old so quickly. But now that the S20 is here and rumors of the Note 20 are already filtering in, you might think the Note 10 Plus is not a good way to go, but I think you'd be wrong. In a lot of ways, it's probably the way to go. You get the best of what Samsung has to offer. You might not get the crazy zoom that you get with things like the S20 Ultra, and sort of differences in the camera sensors, but the package overall and the value for the money is now there with the Note line. And I think 6 months later is actually the best time to get a Note. A phone that was $1,100-1,200 bucks is so discounted now, depending on where you go to shop. You're still getting cutting edge specs. The 855 processor is still really good. You're getting a lot of RAM built in. You're getting a ton of storage, a beautiful screen, even if the refresh rate isn't that high. You're getting a phone that even if bought right now, will easily last you 2 years at a price that was unthinkable when it launched.